What secrets are you hiding, Ivanka, with your father's dark past? What secrets are you hiding? I want to unpack that because I think I know some, but let's just talk about it.
The studio crackled with tension from the moment Ivanka Trump and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett stepped onto the gleaming stage. Ivanka arrived polished and composed, every gesture practiced, while Jasmine carried a grounded intensity, her presence anchored in the struggles of real people. What began as a routine talk show discussion on inflation quickly shifted. Jasmine spoke of families crushed by rising prices, parents skipping meals, veterans rationing medicine. Her voice, steady and real, drew the audience into shared grief and resolve. She painted vivid scenes of neighborhoods tightening their belts, people selling furniture to stay afloat, and workers balancing multiple jobs just to survive.
1 year ago, I introduced my father when he declared his candidacy. In his own way and through his own sheer force of will, he sacrificed greatly to enter the political arena as an outsider.
Her tone wasn't dramatic. It was honest in a way that left the room breathless. Ivanka countered with polished optimism, insisting the administration was cleaning up inherited problems. She leaned on unity, patience, and speeches that glided above the hardships Jasmine described. Her confidence was unmistakable, but it floated far from the ground where Jasmine's stories lived. Their exchanges sharpened like knives wrapped in velvet. Jasmine said calm wasn't the same as connected, that speeches couldn't pay rent, that leadership demanded empathy, not distance. Ivanka argued discipline mattered more than emotion, that progress required faith in the process. Jasmine replied that Americans work double shifts every day, showing more discipline than any speech could capture, and the audience erupted with approval. The applause carried weight, a rumbling recognition that someone had finally spoken the truth aloud. Ivanka insisted critics should be more grateful, hinting that unhappy people could simply leave the country if they didn't appreciate it. The room froze. It felt like the air thinned. Jasmine answered with quiet disappointment, saying love of country meant telling the truth, not silencing it.
Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
She reminded everyone that patriotism wasn't blind loyalty, but a courage willing to confront flaws and demand better. Every line she delivered hit with purpose, exposing the distance between privilege and lived struggle. The cheers grew louder, rawer, stretching far beyond polite applause. The debate turned personal. Ivanka accused Jasmine of stirring division. Jasmine countered that division came from ignoring suffering, from leaders who looked down rather than looked around. Ivanka claimed people needed to earn opportunity. Jasmine asked if being born into wealth counted as earning anything. Gas rolled through the room. Ivanka's frustration cracked her poise. She spoke of victims. Jasmine warned her to be careful with the word. Teachers, nurses, and workers weren't victims. They were the backbone of the nation, the very people propping up the comfort of those who dismiss them.
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Jasmine pressed further, pointing to the way power shields itself, hinting at comments made by the president about his own daughter. Ivanka snapped, telling her not to cross that line. Jasmine didn't retreat. She spoke of accountability and truth, of the danger in protecting power at the expense of honesty. When Ivanka accused her of chasing headlines, Jasmine calmly said she wanted honesty, not attention, and the crowd roared again. Then came the question that shattered the room. Tell me, Ivanka, who's your husband, Jared Kushner or Trump? Gasps erupted so loudly they echoed off the studio walls. Ivanka froze mid-breath, and right as Jasmine moved to continue, her microphone went dead. The silence was unnatural, the kind that exposes the hands pulling the strings. Someone backstage had decided the truth had gone far enough. Ivanka leaned in with a quiet warning about consequences, but Jasmine's steady gaze said everything without a sound. Silencing her only proved her point. That truth threatens power more than any shouted argument ever could. Ivanka stormed off the stage, heels clicking like punctuation marks in a sentence she no longer controlled. Jasmine stayed seated, dignified, unbroken, speaking through silence itself. Audience members rose to their feet, some in outrage, some in awe. When the credits rolled, the nation wasn't talking about policy. They were talking about a mic cut, a question that shook a dynasty, and a woman who refused to bow.
Which means that we are supposed to be writing laws, not trying to have our own trials and determine whether or not something is true or not, or whatever the case is, or who should be sued, who shouldn't be sued. And I am going to tell you that I want us to focus on right versus wrong.
Jasmine's muted final moment echoed louder than anything spoken. She showed that real power isn't in volume, privilege, or control. It's in truth that keeps standing even when the sound is stripped away. A truth that refuses to disappear simply because someone tries to switch it off. The fallout began before the studio lights even cooled. Audience members whispered about the moment the microphone cut, wondering who ordered it and why. Clips spread instantly across social media, each replay amplifying the silence more than any speech. People debated Jasmine's courage, Ivanka's retreat, and the sharp divide between polished privilege and lived struggle. Commentators dissected every raised eyebrow, every pause, every fracture in Ivanka's composure. They noted how Jasmine never once raised her voice, never once lost her calm, even as power attempted to press her into quiet. In living rooms across the country, families watched the replay and felt something awaken, recognition, maybe even relief, that someone had said the things they felt every day but rarely heard on national television. For some, it was a reminder that truth is often inconvenient, that those in power prefer smooth narratives over uncomfortable realities. For others, it signaled a shift, proof that the old rules of influence and intimidation were losing their grip. Even critics who disagreed with Jasmine admitted her steadiness was remarkable, a show of integrity in the face of a machine built to mute dissent. Meanwhile, Ivanka's walk-off became a symbol of fragility disguised as poise. People questioned why someone so powerful couldn't stay and face a challenge, why a single question shattered the curated calm she tried to maintain. The more the moment replayed, the clearer it became. Control had slipped from her hands long before she left the stage, and the silence afterward, the pointed, intentional silence, became the night's defining moment. It was the rare kind of silence that exposes truth rather than hiding it, the kind that lingers long after the cameras stop. Jasmine, in contrast, became a symbol of a new kind of leadership, unbothered, unshaken, grounded in people rather than power. Her voice may have been cut, but her message grew louder, carried not by microphones but by the hearts of those who recognized themselves in her words. She had shown that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it simply refuses to bend. And in a world where power often tries to rewrite the script, Jasmine Crockett proved that courage can break through even when the sound fades to nothing afterward. If you vibe with stories that hit hard and moments that feel bigger than TV drama, then don't just scroll, lock in. Smash that subscribe button. Join the squad and ride with me as we break down the real, the raw, and the unforgettable. New drops every week, no fluff, just fire. Turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. Let's grow this together.